Yasudanandana Vrajachanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihare Gopichana Vallabha Girivardhare Gopichana Vallabha Girivardhare Yasudanandana Vrajachanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Sarvara Shishima Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Iskon Samsavakachaya Prabhupada Ki Ananda Gudi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namaskar Ki Jai Prem Saga Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasagura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Girivaran Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navitam Ki Jai Gangamayi Ki Jai Yamunamayi Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samavita Bhaktanda Ki Jai Gaura Pramanande All glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Gauranga, all glories to Shri Gauranga. So as always, we continue with this most beautiful transcendental diary. Travels with His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, August 1976 to October 1976, by Hari Chaudhry Das. So we're almost finishing this volume. So Srila Prabhupada is still in Vrindavan Dham. Again, I chipped him. Again, I chipped in with my own realization. I've found if you want things to go on, you have to make them do it. That's all. Because they don't have sufficient realization to volunteer to work. Prabhupada nodded. They have to be, one man say, you come here, you do this, then it will be done. The temple commander must be a very able man. He's got to be a heavy man, I suggest. I was telling Hansa-Duda, when I was there, I tried for so long to get the kirtan going at night time, and they wouldn't turn up, or they fall asleep, or this, or that, and so many people would refuse to do it. I could only get maybe 5 or 6 men out of the whole temple who would volunteer to do it. This we were reading yesterday, or day before yesterday already. So we continue somewhere else here. Prabhupada received a double report from Balavanta Prabhu, which he answered during his massage. Balavanta said that in Houston, a newspaper recently reported a debate on cults and what to do about them, and quoted a member of the state legislature who made the statement that the Hare Krishnas are spreading like an epidemic. They are a great danger. They are spreading like wildfire, and if they are not stopped, they will take over the government eventually. Yes. Balavanta. Actually, Balavanta was a devotee who he wanted to become a politician. Yeah. As well as given his summary of activities for each temple in his zone, Balavanta also asked Prabhupada about preaching through the form of mundane politics. He had run for mayor of Atlanta several years ago, and he and Rupanuga Prabhu had a political party called In God We Trust. In God We Trust. This is a common American saying. But then Srila Prabhupada stopped it. Now he asked for more advice on pursuing his political program. In the course of our political campaign, what is the most important message to give to people? He also requested permission to come and spend some time with Srila Prabhupada as a visiting secretary. After answering a few of Balavanta's questions on deity worship and other issues, Prabhupada explained his view of ISKCON and politics. Our ultimate aim is to take part in politics because Krishna took part in politics. We have to follow. But if people do not become Krishna consciousness, it won't be possible. Actually, if we can take up the government, our movement will be very easily spread and beneficial to the people. We can make happy, peaceful men, God conscious, This is our aim. The main thing is to distribute books more and more. That remark by the men, that remark by the men in Houston is to your credit. That this movement is becoming an epidemic. Actually, everywhere, envious people are against this movement, especially communists, because this movement is a threat to them. The main thing is to distribute books. The communist idea is spread practically all over the world on account of distributing huge amounts of literature. But they have no substance. Introduce Ratha Yatra very nicely and distribute books. Yes, you are welcome to join me. I wanted that besides my permanent secretary, that one of the GBC may accompany me regularly. Yeah. So they were all doing shifts. I don't know how long they stayed with Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. And also Prabhupada had his secretary. Prabhupada would dictate the letters to him or give him the ideas that should be should be given in the letters. Yeah. That's why in the bottom of all the letters that Prabhupada wrote, there was always a shortage of the secretary who had wrote this letter. TDK was Tamal Krishna Swami. I have a few letters signed by Tamal Krishna. Anyway, so Prabhupada actually supported this idea that we take over the government. But then Prabhupada says, but this will not be possible unless people are more Krishna conscious. I remember when Balavanta stated his political campaign, he spoke openly about the 4 regulative principles, like no meat, no fish, no eggs, no illicit sex, no high intoxication, and no gambling. And I was surprised. And people actually voted for him, but not enough. Yeah. So this is one event that happened in the beginning of the movement. Any questions regarding this? Or should we read some more? Huh? Yeah? Tamal Krishna Maharaj sent Prabhupada an update of his activities from Los Angeles. He said that Rameshwar had returned from Fiji, having successfully resolved the problem there. They were now working on amending the Fiji ISKCON constitution and were hopeful that it would provide a good solution. He said that he had postponed his proposed trip to South America until November or December because the reports on East Africa were too disturbing to ignore. Bhagavan was to go to Africa. For various reasons, he has not been able to go yet. And so after consulting with a number of GBC men, I am going myself personally and leaving tomorrow. I do not want to let the situation delay further, as the reports received are not at all encouraging. I am concerned with both for Brahmananda's well-being as well as the African yatras, and will pray for the strength to do the needful. Yeah, this was another story with Africa. Prabhupada had sent Brahmananda to Africa. And then after a while, Prabhupada found out that he was only preaching to the Indians. No, because the Indians, they give you, Lakshmi, they invite you and all this, more comfortable. No? And then when Prabhupada heard about that, he said, preach to the Africans. We need African devotees. You've gone to Africa to make Africans devotees. Yeah, and at that occasion, Prabhupada also went there. Yeah? And they didn't let him in the country. I think it was Kenya or somewhere. Kenya, yeah, and they didn't let him in. Yeah, he had to go, or they put him in quarantine also. Kind of. They were kind of suspicious in many ways. Yeah. And this is also in the diary here, the whole story there. Anyway, so Srila Prabhupada was always preaching. He was always looking for opportunities to push in Krishna consciousness. And as you notice, you might have noticed, Prabhupada said, the best preaching, the most important preaching is what? Book distribution. Yeah, book distribution. Because the books can go anywhere. When we give books, we used to say, when we were distributing books in Germany, we would always say, book distribution is the solution. Ja, oder Prabhu, einfach weitermachen, einfach weitermachen. Yeah, so Prabhupada was very, very eager, that his books would be distributed. Yeah, actually, there's a book of quotes of Srila Prabhupada about book distribution. And I think the title is, If You Love Me, Distribute My Books. No, was it? Somebody know? No. Yeah. If you love me, distribute my books. Yeah. Because when you give people a book, Prabhupada preaches to them. Prabhupada is undoubtedly our best preacher. And also, sometimes we preach to people, we meet somebody and preach to the people, then it's sure that all we said, they will forget. Maybe just like often, somebody says, I met the devotees, and if you ask, what did they say? Or when somebody gives a class, and you ask people, so do you remember anything? No, and after a while, they forget everything. Whereas the books, they contain this memory or this knowledge. You can always open it again and read it again and find again the places where you you like to remember, something like that. Yeah. So we should all understand this fact that our book distribution is the most important thing. And then when people become interested, well, we have also to have temples and receive them very nicely. But because I mentioned the other day, I think, when sometimes you ask, when there's a big public Sunday feast or something like that, you ask, how did you come here? What was the impetus you got to come to the temple? And most of the people normally say, I got a book. Actually, all the devotees. Unfortunately, when I joined, there were no books. Or there were only English books. We only had the first volume of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Prabhupada had brought from India. In Hamburg, we had one of these sets. And he also brought the Easy Journey to Other Planets, printed in India. These were the books that Prabhupada brought. Anyway, so now you're very fortunate, you have so many books. You have all the books in German, you have all the books in Russian, you have all the books in Spanish, we also have. Yeah, and there's so much, there's so much advancement regarding printing, translating, publishing, the respective languages. So, not only distribute books, read the books also. At one point in our German history, Yatra history, Prabhupada wrote a letter. We received a letter from Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, it seems that devotees in Germany are only distributing books and not reading the books. Any question? Kannst du es mal reinmachen? Ne? Das ist so kompliziert. Ja, hier ist da. Noch ein Absatz. Der Absatz nach Tamal, da ist einer, der beginnt mit Tamal. Tamal Krishna.
Okay.
Der nächste.
Ja.
Ja.
Not many devotees distributing books.
You should inspire them to go out like you.
How?
Speak to them about book distribution, or read the books with them. Yeah, and you invite them, come out. Why don't you come with me? I'm going to distribute books. Why don't you come with me and look how I'm doing? Huh? What do you think?
If I often say about book distribution, somebody thinking he's fanatic, only emphasize.
Yeah, that's good fanatism. But that's not fanatism, it's actually based on knowledge, on realization. Fanatism, Prabhupada said the religion should be religion and philosophy. And when there's no philosophy, the religious people tend to be fanatic. And when there's only philosophy, then it tends to be dry. How do you say dry? Without realization. Yeah. Actually, book distribution is a very special service. And you immediately realize when you go out, isn't it? I met him at Arkaden, at the entrance. He was very enthusiastic, distributing books, or at least trying to distribute books. How many books did you make?
That day 2. Today
2 books. Jai! Very good, very good.
Yesterday I had 4.
Huh?
So it's a little bit increasing also.
Very good, yes. You should continue. Not only continue, but also giving the example of the importance of book distribution. You are already a devotee of some time now. And we all as devotees, we don't only have the responsibility of being our Krishna conscious ourselves, but also to help others to become Krishna conscious. And how is that? The most important thing that we give an example, practical example. If I tell people, the devotees to be at Mangal Arati and I don't come to Mangal Arati, what's the use of this kind of preaching? Yeah. So please continue. And also, actually, when you go out and distribute books, you become very dear to Srila Prabhupada. Yes. And not only to Srila Prabhupada, the whole disciplic succession. Yeah. They were all writing and distributing books, teaching, like that. This is our mission. And like I'm saying, not just reading the books, but also preaching, convincing others about the books. Like I many times said, no, this, what I just read here, they should know, the whole world should know this. Yeah. When you start advancing in Krishna consciousness, you naturally feel compassion for people who don't know Krishna consciousness. Yeah? Just like we heard this morning, you were reading from the quotes of Srila Prabhupada. It says, this material world is a world of suffering. There's suffering. We're always suffering. There's so much inconveniences in the material world. Adhyatmika klesha. Klesha, suffering. Adhyatmika means the suffering that we experience ourselves from the body and mind. And then also adhyatmika klesha. Suffering that we experience from other people. There's so many conflicts and so many misunderstandings, so much envy and all this. And Adi Devika Klesha means the fruit cold, for example. Here. This is controlled under the control of the how do you say? Demigods. Yeah. Spanish is semigods. Okay. So we continue with him. Prahlad Maharaj speaking, hearing from Prahlad Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 7th chapter, text 18. Janmadya sati me bhava drishta dehasya namaha paranam eva vrikshasya kareneshvara murtina Janmadya sati me bhava drishta dehasya natmanaha palanam eva vrikshasya kareneshvara murtina Janmadya sati me bhava drishta dehasya natmanaha palanam eva vrikshasya kareneshvara murtina
Janmadya sati me bhava
Janmadya sati me bhava drishta dehasya natmanaha paranam eva vrikshasya kareneshvara murtina Janmadya sati dehasya natmanaha kareneshvara murtina
Janmadya shati me bhava Trishta dehasya natmana Paranamiva vrikshasya Kalineshvara murtina
Tidam Sara murtina paranamiva vrikshasya Hariva vrikshasya kareneshvara murtina Janmadya sati me bhava drishta dehasya natmanaha paranamiva vrikshasya kareneshvara murtina Janma adya beginning with birth. Sat, the six, birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and at last death. Ime, all these, bhava, different conditions of the body, drishta, seen, dehasya, of the body, na, not, atmana, of the soul, palanam, of the fruits, eva, like, vrikshasya, of a tree, kalina, in due course of time, Ishvara Murtina, whose is the ability to transform or control the bodily activities.
whose form is the ability to transform and control bodily activities.
Translation and purpose. Srila Prabhupada. Just as the fruits and flowers of a tree in due course of time undergo 6 changes: birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and then death. The material body, which is obtained by the spirit soul, under different circumstances undergoes similar changes. However, there's no such changes for the spirit soul. This is a very important verse in understanding the difference between the spiritual soul and the material body. The soul is eternal, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.20. Na jayate mriyate vakadachim nayam buddha bhavita naha bhuja ajo nitya shashvato yam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. For the soul there's never birth nor death, nor having once been does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. The spirit soul is eternal, being freed from waste and change, which take place because of the material body. The example of a tree and its fruits and flowers is very simple and clear. A tree stands for many, many years, but with the personal changes, its fruits and flowers undergo 6 transformations. The foolish theory of modern chemists that life can be produced by chemical interactions cannot be accepted as truth. The birth of a human being's material body takes place due to a mixture of the ovum and semen. But the history of birth is that although the ovum and semen mix together after sex, there is not always pregnancy. Unless the soul enters the mixture, there is no possibility of pregnancy. But when the soul takes shelter of the mixture, the body takes birth, exists, grows, transforms, and dwindles, and ultimately it is vanquished. The fruits and flowers of a tree seasonally come and go, but the tree continues to stand. Similarly, the transmigrating soul accepts various bodies which undergo 6 transformations, but the soul remains permanently the same. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul is eternal and ever existing, but the bodies accepted by the souls are changing. There are 2 kinds of soul: the Supreme Soul, the personality of Godhead, and the individual soul, the living entity. As various bodily changes take place in the individual soul, different millenniums of creation take place in the Supreme Soul. In this regard, Madhvacharya says, Satvikara surasya sarirasya na vishnustadhagatasya cha tat adhinam sartram cha gyatvatam mamatam kya jet. Since the body is the eternal feature of the soul is not dependent on the body. Rather, the body is dependent on the soul. One who understands this truth should not be very much anxious about maintenance of the body, of his body. There is no possibility of maintaining the body permanently or eternally. Antavanta ime deha nitya shoka sharirinam. This is the statement of Bhagavad Gita 2.18. The material body is antavat, perishable, but the soul within the body is eternal, nitya shokatan, nitya shokta, sharirinam. Lord Vishnu and the individual souls who are part and parcel of him are both eternal, nitya nityanam chaitanas chaitananam. Lord Vishnu is a chief living being, whereas the individual living entities are part of Lord Vishnu. All the various grades of bodies, from the gigantic universal body to the small body of an ant, are perishable, But the super soul and the soul, being equal in quality, both exist eternally. This is further explained in the next verses. No, so here, I will read the verse first again. Janmadya satyame bhava drishtadihasya natmanaha paranam iva vrikshasya karineshvara mutina. Just as the fruits and flowers of a tree in due course of time undergo 6 changes: birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and then death. The material body, which is obtained by the spirit soul under different circumstances, undergoes similar changes. However, there are no such changes for the spirit soul. So, no, we hear from Prahlad Maharaj again, and he's in these verses. You can see that he's giving them a basic understanding of what is the real purpose of life and about self-realization. That we're not the body. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's first instruction to Arjuna is Hino asmin yata dehe komaram yovaram jara tatate prakti dira satanamuhyati. So wie die verkörperte Seele von Kindheit zur Jugend und zum Alter wandert, so geht sie zum Zeitpunkt des Todes auch in einen neuen Körper ein. Die selbstverwirklichte Seele wird durch solche Wechsel nicht verwehrt. Sorry, I don't know the English translation. Yes, I know in German. Also in Spanish, I also know, but in German. Anyway, so he's giving the basic understanding to his friends, or his Mitschüler, what is that again? Classmates. With his classmates. Because unless we understand, at least theoretically, that we are not the body, that the body is temporary and the soul is eternal, there's no basis for any spiritual advancement. Spiritual advancement doesn't manifest and you start flying or become, develop your mystic powers and all that. No. That you simply understand that I am an eternal servant of Krishna. And Prabhupada is quoting a verse here that he says, what was that? Nitya nityanam chaitanas chaitananam. No, and the verse goes on, Eko bahunam yuvidadati kaman. That means, and there are unlimited souls, unlimited living entities. Ego bahunam. Ego means one. There's one. Bahunam means living entity. There's ego bahunam yovidadati kaman. What is the difference between all these many souls and this one soul? That this one soul maintains all the other living entities. There's a difference. Actually, we are maintained. Krishna gives us food. He gives us the facilities to live here. There's air. There's a certain high temperature like that. And this is all arranged by Krishna. This is not something accidental, like the scientists say. Didn't start with some soup, or some explosion like that. That's completely ridiculous. Just like some years back, there was a lot of trouble in Colombia, in South America. Terrorists, they would throw bombs and all this. And at one time I was there, I gave the class Bhagavad Gita, all of a sudden there was a bomb close by. Later we went and all the windows were blown out of the houses and all this. And they had the police there had a bomb command, Comando de Bomba. And so whenever there was a bomb, the police came. And I immediately started closing the place and looking for witnesses. And just imagine, there's a bomb, everything is destroyed, and the police comes and they find a witness. And so they start asking, what is the bomb coming from? You remember anybody? And then the guy says, there's no cause for the bomb. It came by itself. It just exploded. They will never accept it. But if a scientist, highly learned scientist speaks like that, ooh, wow, they are impressed. This is actually the tendency to cheat. The conditioned soul, the conditioned soul, has 4 defects. We have limited senses. On the basis of the limited senses, we commit so many errors. We have to correct ourselves all the time. And then also, on the basis of this limited, we all an illusion. We accept some reality that is actually illusory, doesn't really have any substance. And then the tendency to cheat. So many times I have discovered that scientists have cheated. Just I remember there was some scientists, I don't know, somewhere in South America. They discovered some skeleton. How is skeleton? Huh? Yeah, some skeleton. And so he manufactured some parts, added some parts to prove his declaration, his so-called discovery. And later on they found out this was actually cheating. Anyway, so this is our disqualification to produce perfect knowledge, because we're conditioned souls. And what is a self-realized soul? And a self-realized soul, a person who bases the knowledge on this the science, the Vedic science, of the knowledge that comes down in an uninterrupted disciplic succession. When Prabhupada came to the West, he never said, I think, maybe, maybe not, or I came to the conclusion. No. Prabhupada, like here in the purport also, he quotes so many verses from the source of perfect knowledge. And this is what we have to hear nicely. We have to give attention to this knowledge is coming down, in the cyclic succession. Like Prabhupada also, when Prabhupada came to America, he said that there were 700 publications of Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada mentioned that those Bhagavad Gitas he had seen actually didn't explain anything real or as it is. They were mostly using Bhagavad Gita to make themselves important. Bhagavad Gita is already known, is already famous, and they're using Bhagavad Gita to make themselves known. Whereas a devotee, he always presents things in a humble way. Always refers to the previous acharyas or the Shastra, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, the Puranas, like that. And that actually changed people's understanding. Actually, people started experiencing a change in heart. A change in heart. Developing all the nice Vaishnava qualities. Like the Tikshava, Karunika, Surida, Chatava, Shantim, Sadava, Sadabhushan. You know this verse by memory? Yeah, okay. The Tikshava, first quality mentioned, is tolerance. A devotee is supposed to be very tolerant. Even though there's so many problems and conflicts and different opinions like that. Stays tolerant, yes, okay. But of course, Prabhupada said that, explained, when a Vaishnava has problems, he tolerates them. When he's incited or the problems put on his way, like that. But when he sees that others are offended, then he doesn't tolerate. He says things. That's like we mentioned the other day. I don't know, was it here or somewhere else? Yeah, that sometimes devotees are put into big problems. Like I mentioned at that time that in Hamburg, in the Kapitelbuschweg, the second temple, no, the third temple in Hamburg, we were attacked by rockers. I don't know about rockers nowadays, but at that time these rockers were on then motorbikes and dressed in black leather. What is that? Leather. Yeah, leather. And they used to have the cut of Elvis Presley. And they were always fighting with the Axis. People were more intellectual, more, let's say, more Brahminical. Not Brahminical, really. Anyway, so they attacked us during Janmashtami. We had just finished the feast of Janmashtami, and they came. Yeah. And they started throwing stones at the windows and other. And we knew they would come back because they had come before. And so we prepared ourselves. And so when they came, we fought with them. We had amongst ourselves, we had a devotee who had just come from Vietnam. An American devotee who had fought in Vietnam. And he was an expert, how you say, fighter, like bodily fighter like that. And he loved it to be able to fight again. And the next day, in the Bild-Zeitung oder Morgenpost, das sind die beiden Skandalblätter in Hamburg, it said that die Jugendsekte schlägt die Rocker in die Flucht. Yeah, so sometimes devotees have to also be practical, no? To defend others or defend the temple or go to court, fight for the existence of the international side of Krishna consciousness. Just like in America, during the time of all these problems with the so-called brainwashing, devotees also had a court case, a big court case in New York. Yeah? And finally, the judge came to the conclusion, this is not a brainwashing movement or something. This is a traditional religious movement. This is a religion, a traditional religion coming from India. Yeah? And all the psychologists and all the demons, they were defeated. So they gave us a permission to exist. Anyway, so the point is that Prahlad Maharaj is speaking to his friends. And just imagine, they were all children, little children. And he was speaking them philosophically. And these children, in the beginning, they didn't want to hear about that because they look, Prahlad, we are children, let us play. This is our activity, playing. And then he said a verse. I actually search for it. I have it here somewhere. Then he said, Sri Padada Bhaja Kaumaracharet Pragyo Dharman Bhagavatan Niha Dulabam Manusham Janma Tat Api Adrubham Atadam. Prahlad Maharaj said, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Srila Prabhupada is quoting this verse in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't know if you remember. When you start reading Bhagavatam, in the beginning, Prabhupada always mentioned this verse. And it is, it's actually, it actually became manifest. All the first followers of Srila Prabhupada were very young. I remember when the first temple in Germany, in Hamburg, where Prabhupada also visited us in in 69, 1969. No, one of the devotees was only 18 years old. And he came from America. Yeah. He had wanted to come to preach in other countries. And Prabhupada told him, yes, assist Shivananda. Shivananda was the first devotee who had come from America. You know, and he needed some association. So Prabhupada sent him. And he got permission from his father to come, under the condition that he had to make a wie sagt man, Juwelier-Ausbildung. What is that? Lehre. Yeah. Juwelier. What is that? Jeweler. Yeah, he had to learn how to be a jeweler in Hamburg. He every day he went. You know, and the rest of the time, like sometimes when I went to the temple, I met him at the underground. And he preached to me, you know, again. Yeah. And also I mentioned many times that one time Prabhupada was asked, you know, why all your followers are young? You know? And Prabhupada said, because they're more intelligent. Yes, so. Any question, maybe, in the meantime?
Maharaj,
Yeah.
how to give up the bodily conception?
Sorry?
How to give up bodily conception?
Bodily conception? Yeah. Hearing regularly from the Shastra and from persons like Srila Prabhupada, who was on the complete realized platform. Yeah. Because when you hear from devotees who are more advanced, because of their realization, it's much more convincing, goes deeper. You know? Somebody tells you you're not the body and he's not a devotee. Okay, try. Where do you got this from? Oh, I got a book from Prabhupada. But the more you realize, the more convincing you are, more influence you have. Yeah. Isn't it? No? Yeah. That's why so eager to hear from senior devotees. Like, here often somebody comes here to visit the temple here. Yeah. And so many more people come to the temple. Yeah. Because it's not a class like normally during the week. But there's somebody who has more realization. Yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. And sometimes they also come from far. When Prabhupada came to a temple, so many devotees came from far away from other temples. Like I remember when we went to London to see Prabhupada in London, mostly during the Ratha Yatra. Prabhupada would always come to the Ratha Yatra in London. Yeah? And when Prabhupada would go to London, everyone from Paris, from Italy, from Germany, would all go there to be with Prabhupada. And it was a big festival because so many devotees came from outside. Yeah? And when Prabhupada would speak, we would hear very attentively and become inspired. Wow. Then we went back to Germany or go to wherever we had come from. And we were much more inspired to continue. Yeah. Isn't it? That's how it's a question of purification, a question of advancing spiritually. Yeah. And we have to come to the platform of developing taste for devotional service. Yeah. Taste in chanting Hare Krishna, not just mechanically. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and or thinking, how many more rounds do I have to chant? Okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But when you actually develop taste for the chanting of the holy name, you don't only want to chant 16 rounds. When you finish the 16 rounds, no, why only 16? Let me continue. Yeah. But that's what Prabhupada said, minimum 16 rounds, not maximum. What is it in English, Deutsch? In English? Maxi? I use the Spanish terms. Yes. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think if we say that we can give up when we act as a soul through experience, as you did when you took this responsibility of like missionary activities, and then you feel that you are not this body. This is not just conceptions, not just theoretically, but you can feel the spirit.
Yeah, just like when you go out and book distribution. In the beginning, it may be very difficult because there's so much ego and so much conception that you have, and you're not used to it, and this, yeah. And but after a while, if you go out regularly, you develop taste. Yeah, you develop some taste. Like I remember, like I told you the other day, when we went out on Sankirtan, then at the end, when the day came to an end, we had this conception of super distribution ecstasy, and many times devotees didn't want to go back to the car; they want to continue, because they had developed some taste, yeah. Or when you don't come, you're not present in Mangal Arati, there's something missing. The whole day, there's something missing. If you don't chant your rounds early in the morning, all the other rounds that you may chant during the day are more extended and with less concentration. Why is this? Because in the morning, the mode of goodness dominates. Especially Brahma Muhurta. My calendar says gives exactly the time of Brahma Muhurta. Yeah, it's the most auspicious time for all kinds of spiritual activities. Yeah, and if you don't get up early and you don't participate or you don't take advantage of all these wonderful activities, then you don't develop the taste, and kind of. It says that one of the qualities of Kali Yuga is people are lazy. Lazy. Lazy doesn't mean necessarily they don't like to work and get money or not. No. Lazy with respect to spiritual life, to devotional service. But anyway, if they don't get up voluntarily in the morning, they are forced to get up to go to work. When you go out early, you see all these people going to work. Yeah, they're forced. Why? Because they need this. Money is like honey. Yeah, money is so important. Sometimes when they hear we don't work, and we don't, all these things, especially sannyasis, you travel all the time, you have no income. What they don't understand is that Krishna protects the devotees, especially when they're completely dedicated to preaching and all this. Yeah. And in an unexplainable way, all these things manifest. Like Prabhupada came to America with 40 rupees, like $7 at that time. 70 is less than $1 today. Anyway, so, and he just went there under the order of a spiritual master. And in the beginning it was a little, some difficulties, but sooner or later, Krishna sent him some assistance, some devotees, or some young boys and girls to help him, and very eager to help him, very eager to serve him. Yeah? And everything started manifesting. Like also now, and somebody is giving us an island in Chile, in South America. This guy had bought big pieces of land in Patagonia, in the south. And he also bought an island. And now he actually gave it already as a donation to the yatra. So you just have to continue. Einfach weitermachen. And everything will happen, everything will manifest. Because it's already predicted. that sooner or later in the future, the holy names will be heard in all, wie sagt man, Dörfer und, wie sagt man in Deutsch? Town, yeah. What does that mean that you hear the holy name? There must be devotees. There must be Hare Krishna programs. There must be temples. There must be communities. I mean, they will distribute all over the world, and it's already happening. Yeah. Sometimes when I cross borders, people say, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. In India, we have the custom that when we leave the country, normally we are loaded with Mahaprasad from the temples. And we distribute Mahaprasad to all the, I say, the Zollbeamten und Passbeamten and so on. And they already know, Hare Krishna, you have prasad? Once I was traveling in India, and I wasn't able, we were participant in the GBC meetings, and then in the end, I had no time. I had no time to take bath in the Ganges. So I asked the disciple to get me some water from the Ganges so I could sprinkle them over me. He got me a bottle, small bottle. And then I was checking in to the airplane. And the custom guy told me, you have water, this is not allowed. No? And I told him, this is Ganga Jal. This is Ganges water. He said, okay. There's a difference in India, So, any more questions, comments? Yes?
I'm sorry, but my question is not so much
related to the theme?
Yes, but could you tell me, is gold...
If what?
Gold, metal.
Oh.
Silver, gold. Gold is not... It's unalloyed metal. It is not a mixture. There are no other elements, only gold in gold.
I'm not a chemist, I remember one Bhakta gave Prabhupada a gold ring. And then after that he blooped. Have you blooped? You know what blooping is? Yeah. And he left. And Prabhupada continued using the ring, occupying this Bhakta, maintaining the connection with him. There was not that Prabhupada put a gold ring on because it looked nice and he wanted to have some certain appearance. No. Prabhupada was always preaching. Everything Prabhupada saw in relation to his preaching. Yeah. And if somebody did even a small thing for Krishna, insignificant, even unnoticed by most of the devotees, Prabhupada would always, how you say, fan the spark. So it would augment. How do you say augment in Spanish? It would increase. It would increase. Yeah.
Because I'm looking at Gauranga and that's why I'm asking this question.
Sorry?
I'm looking at Gauranga. Gaura. And that's why I asked. I'm sorry.
Yes, in Vedic times, the deities, in Dwapara Yuga, when the deity worship was a Yuga Dharma, they decorated the deities with gold and pearls and jewels like that. Yeah. But Prabhupada told us not to pour any valuables on the altar, because Prabhupada said it only attracts thieves. Yeah. Just like in Mayapur also. Some gundas were attacking, and they took small deities from the altar, because they thought that was gold or something like that. Yeah. That's why, and because of that, because in different parts of the world, like in Sweden, Stockholm also happened this. Some people came in and pushed over the deities and all this. And since that time, Prabhupada insisted that we always have, how you say, Gita? What is that? Huh?
Fences.
Yeah, it's metal kind of.
Решетка.
Huh?
Раша. Как по-немецки? Решетка.
That's why you see in this Singhachalam, you see, in Abenteuer you also have, to protect the deities. Yeah. Because not everyone who comes to the temple is kind of, let me see, trustworthy, you know. Yeah. Okay, anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki?
Bhakti Bhushana Maharaj ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki?
In Moldova we have twice this
Sorry?
incident, the stolen deities.